The arrival of the princess. On a bright, sunny day, the people of Earth gathered in the central plaza of New York City. Excitement buzzed in the air like bees around flowers. Huge banners waved in the wind, welcoming an important visitor, Princess Zara from the planet Lyra. Everyone was curious about this alien princess. What would she look like? What stories would she bring from the stars? The plaza was filled with colorful decorations, and a large stage stood at the front. People chatted and laughed, their eyes shining with anticipation. Some held signs that read, "Welcome, Princess Zora." Others wore clothes adorned with stars and moons, celebrating the momentous occasion. As the time drew near, a spaceship appeared in the sky. It was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The ship sparkled like diamonds against the blue sky. It descended slowly, landing gracefully on a platform specially made for the occasion. The crowd gasped and cheered, their voices echoing in the plaza. The ship's door opened, and out stepped Princess Zora. She was tall and elegant, her long hair flowing like a river of silver. Her skin shimmered softly, reflecting the sunlight in a beautiful glow. She wore a stunning gown made of fabric that changed colors with her movements, giving her an otherworldly appearance. Beside her stood her loyal bodyguard, Kuro, a strong figure with a stern face and a protective stance. Zara smiled warmly at the crowd. "Hello, Earth. I come in peace," she said in a clear, melodic voice that seemed to echo throughout the plaza. The crowd erupted in applause, cheering her name. People were eager to hear her speak and learn about her home. As she approached the stage, the mayor of New York stepped forward. He was an older man with a kind smile and a gentle voice. "Welcome, Princess Zora. We are honored to have you here. We hope to build a strong friendship between our worlds." Zara nodded, appreciating the warm welcome. "Thank you, Mayor. I believe that together, we can achieve great things. My people and I wish to share our knowledge and culture with you." As she spoke, a sense of hope filled the air. The people of Earth listened closely, their hearts swelling with excitement at the idea of a friendship with an alien world. Zara talked about the beauty of her planet, the lush forests, and the sparkling rivers. She shared stories of her people, who valued peace and harmony. However, not everyone in the crowd was filled with joy. Hidden among the admirers were a group of humans who watched with narrowed eyes. They whispered to each other, their faces twisted in anger. "Why should we trust her? She's an alien. What if they are here to take our resources?" one of them said. These men were part of a secret organization that feared the power of other worlds. They believed that humans should dominate the universe, not share it with anyone. As Zara spoke, they exchanged knowing glances, planning their next move. Meanwhile, Zara finished her speech, and the crowd erupted into cheers once more. "Together, we can learn from each other. Let's work towards a future of peace," she exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. The celebration continued with music and dance. Children played games, and families enjoyed the food stalls set up around the plaza. Zara and Karo mingled with the crowd, taking pictures and sharing laughter. People were captivated by Zora's kindness and charm. However, the secret group in the crowd grew restless. They could not let this friendship happen. They made their way through the throng of people, determined to confront the princess. As they approached, Karo noticed their angry faces and instinctively moved closer to Zora. Just then, a sudden loud bang echoed through the plaza. The crowd gasped and turned towards the sound. A large banner fell from above, causing panic as people rushed in all directions. The organization members seized the moment. They dashed towards Zora, shouting orders to each other. Kuro reacted quickly, pushing Zora behind him. "Stay back," he shouted, ready to protect her at all costs. The crowd turned back, confusion etched on their faces. Some wanted to help, while others fled in fear. "Stop. We mean no harm," Zora called out, her voice trembling slightly but full of courage. She knew that not everyone felt the same way, but she refused to give in to fear. Just as the tension reached its peak, The mayor stepped forward again. Everyone, please remain calm. We are here to welcome Princess Zara, not to cause chaos. His voice cut through the noise, bringing some sense back to the crowd. Karo stood firm, his eyes scanning the area for any signs of danger. Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. She had come to Earth with hopes of building friendships, but now it seemed that darkness lurked just beneath the surface. As the crowd began to settle, Zara spoke again. I did not come here to fight. I came to share my world with you, to show that we can live in harmony. But I also see that not everyone is ready for that. Her heart ached at the thought of betrayal from those she hoped to befriend. The crowd was silent, and the tension lingered in the air. Zara looked around at the faces before her. Some were friendly, while others were filled with doubt and fear. She knew the journey ahead would not be easy. But in that moment, Zara made a silent promise to herself. She would not give up. She would find a way to unite their worlds, even if it meant facing the darkness that threatened them. The arrival of the princess had begun, but the real battle for peace was just about to unfold. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the plaza, Zara felt a spark of determination ignite within her. She would fight for the friendship she believed in. And as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, she knew that her story was only just beginning. Shadows of betrayal. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the plaza as the celebrations continued. Princess Zara felt a mix of excitement and unease. She had come to Earth with dreams of friendship, but the dark faces in the crowd haunted her thoughts. After the chaotic welcome, she returned to her ship, needing to gather her thoughts and understand what had happened. Inside the ship, Zara stood in front of a large window, staring out at the twinkling city lights below. Karo, her loyal bodyguard, entered the room. "Your Highness, are you all right?" he asked, concern etched on his face. "I don't know, Karo," she replied softly. "I thought they would welcome us, but I sensed fear and anger among some of them. What if they refuse to cooperate?" Karo crossed his arms, his brow furrowed. "There will always be those who fear the unknown, but we cannot let a few voices discourage us. We must show them our true intentions." Zara nodded, but her heart felt heavy. She had to prove that her people meant no harm. With determination, she decided to address the people again. "We need to organize a public forum where I can speak directly to them," she said. "I want to clarify our intentions and build trust." Karo smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "That's a great idea, Princess. I will arrange it immediately." The next day, the news of the public forum spread quickly across the city. People were curious and nervous, wondering what the princess would say. Some were excited, while others remained skeptical. The plaza was filled once again, but this time there was a palpable tension in the air. Zara stood on the stage, her heart racing. She took a deep breath, looking out at the crowd. Karo stood protectively beside her. "Thank you all for coming," Zara began, her voice steady. "I understand that my arrival may have caused fear, but I assure you, we come in peace. My people have much to offer, and we wish to learn from you as well." As she spoke, she noticed some people nodding, while others crossed their arms, still distrustful. Zara pressed on, wanting to break through their doubts. "Let me share more about my planet, Lyra. We face challenges, just like you. But we believe that unity and cooperation can help us overcome them." Just as she finished her statement, a loud voice erupted from the back of the crowd. "Why should we trust an alien? You could be hiding your true intentions." The voice belonged to a man in a dark coat, his face set in anger. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Zara felt her heart sink. She had expected skepticism, but she needed to address this challenge head-on. "I understand your concerns," she replied, keeping her voice calm. "But I am here to build a bridge, not a wall. I want to share knowledge, culture, and most importantly, friendship." Another voice shouted from the crowd. "Friendship? What if you're just here to exploit us? We've seen how other worlds treat us." The crowd grew restless, and Zora could feel their anger rising. Karo stepped forward, his protective instincts flaring. "We are not your enemies. We wish to help you. You must give us a chance to show you our intentions." Zora put her hand on Karo's arm, calming him. "Let me speak," she urged softly. "I know that trust must be earned, not given. We can start small. How about sharing knowledge about our technologies? We have innovations that could benefit your world." The crowd fell silent, contemplating her words. Zara took the opportunity to elaborate. "Our energy systems are clean and sustainable. We can help you combat pollution and climate change. Together, we can create a better future." Some people in the crowd began to whisper to each other, intrigued by the idea. But the dark-coated man was not satisfied. "And what's in it for you? Why would you help us? You're just a princess from a distant planet." Zara felt a surge of determination. "Because I believe in a better future for all of us," she declared. "I come from a planet where we value cooperation. If we work together, we can face any challenge. We can share our stories, learn from each other, and build something great." The crowd remained tense, but Zara could see some softening in their expressions. A woman stepped forward, her face a mix of skepticism and hope. "If you truly want to help us, then show us. Actions speak louder than words." "Agreed," the man in the coat replied, his tone grudgingly accepting. "We need to see proof of your intentions." Zara smiled, grateful for the opportunity to demonstrate her commitment. "Very well. I will invite you to my ship. You can see our technology and meet my scientists. We want to work with you, not against you." The crowd murmured, some appearing more interested while others remained hesitant. Zara could feel the shifting atmosphere. She was making progress, albeit slowly. As the forum concluded, Zara and Karo walked off the stage, exhaustion settling in. Karo looked at her, pride shining in his eyes. "You did well, princess. You showed strength in the face of doubt." Zara nodded, but deep down, she knew the road ahead would be difficult. She had to earn their trust, and that would take time. But she was determined. She would not give up on her mission. That night, as she sat in her quarters aboard the ship, she reflected on the day's events. She felt a mix of hope and fear. The people of Earth were complex, just like her own. She would need to navigate their emotions carefully, but she believed in her mission. The stars twinkled brightly outside her window, reminding her of the vast universe that awaited them. She closed her eyes, imagining a future where humans and Lyrans could work together. Together, they could create something incredible. But lurking in the shadows, the group that had opposed her remained. They watched her every move, plotting and planning. They would not let her succeed without a fight. Unbeknownst to Zara, the real battle was just beginning, and she would need all her strength and courage to face the challenges ahead. Seeds of doubt. The following weeks were filled with preparations. Princess Zara and her team worked tirelessly to organize a series of demonstrations showcasing Lyran technology. She was hopeful that once the humans saw the benefits, their skepticism would fade. However, tensions continued to simmer beneath the surface. As the day of the first demonstration approached, Zara felt both excitement and anxiety. Karo was at her side, keeping her spirits up. "This will be the moment they see who we truly are," he assured her, his voice steady. "Just stay calm and focused." On the day of the demonstration, the plaza was bustling with activity. Crowds gathered, their faces a mix of curiosity and wariness. Some people had come to see the Lyran technology, while others were there to protest against it. Zara stood on the platform, her heart pounding as she looked out over the sea of faces. "Welcome, everyone." Zara began, her voice carrying over the noise. "Today, we will demonstrate our clean energy technology that can help your planet heal." As the Lyran scientists prepared the equipment behind her, Zara explained how their energy systems worked. She spoke of harnessing solar power more efficiently and using it to reduce pollution. The crowd seemed engaged, But Zara noticed the same dark-coated man from the previous forum at the front, his arms crossed defiantly. The demonstration began with impressive displays of energy production. Bright lights flickered on as the Lyran machines powered up, and the crowd gasped in amazement. People began to murmur, intrigued by what they were seeing. Zara felt a surge of hope. However, just as the demonstration reached its peak, the dark-coated man shouted, "What's the catch? Why should we trust you? You could be lying about everything." His voice echoed through the plaza, drowning out Zora's words. The crowd grew restless, and Zora's heart sank. She tried to regain control of the situation. "We are here to help. Our technology can transform your energy systems. We want to work together for a brighter future." But the crowd was divided. Some cheered for Zora, while others echoed the man's doubts. "They're just here to take what they want." Someone yelled, "They don't care about us." Caro stepped forward, his presence strong. "Enough. We are not your enemies," he called out. "We wish to help, but you must give us a chance. Open your minds, and you will see that we can work together." The tension in the plaza thickened as voices rose in anger. Zara's heart raced. She needed to bring the focus back to the demonstration. "Let's move on to the next part," she urged, trying to keep her composure. As the Lyran scientists activated the second part of the demonstration, a powerful energy surge illuminated the area. The lights flickered brighter, and people gasped in awe. Zara's heart soared. Perhaps they would see the truth after all. But then, without warning, a loud explosion erupted nearby, shaking the ground beneath them. Panic spread through the crowd. People screamed and ran in every direction. Zara's heart dropped as she turned to Caro, who looked equally alarmed. "Stay close to me," he shouted, leading her away from the chaos. The dark-coated man had disappeared into the crowd, and Zara felt a chill run down her spine. Was this sabotage? Who would do such a thing? As people fled, Zara and Caro made their way toward the source of the explosion. They found a small group of humans standing near a damaged structure, looking frightened and confused. Zara recognized some of them from the plaza, and her heart ached for them. "Everyone, please remain calm," Zara called out, raising her hands to quiet the crowd. "We need to assess the situation. Help is on the way." In the chaos, she spotted a few people in the crowd whispering among themselves, their faces twisted in anger. Zara realized that fear was spreading, and with it, the seeds of doubt had taken root. Suddenly, a familiar voice broke through the noise. "We should chase them away. They don't belong here." It was the dark-coated man, rallying a group behind him. They'd bring destruction, not peace. Zara felt her heart sink. She knew this was not the way to reach a resolution. "We can work through this. Let us help you. We want to understand your fears," she pleaded. But the dark-coated man only shouted louder. "Look what they've done. They'd brought danger to our home." With fear swirling around her, Zora's mind raced. She knew that one act of violence could change everything. If they turned against her, all her hopes for peace would be shattered. Caro stepped forward, his fists clenched. "Enough," he shouted, his voice booming over the chaos. "You will not threaten her or our mission." In the midst of the turmoil, Zara took a deep breath. She had to act decisively. "Everyone, listen to me," she shouted. "I understand your fears, but we have not come to harm you. The explosion was an accident. We are here to help, not destroy." Slowly, the crowd began to quiet. The dark-coated man's voice faltered as Zora's determination shone through. "We can learn together. We can build a brighter future, but we need trust on both sides. Will you let us prove it?" The crowd hesitated, unsure of how to respond. Zara's heart raced as she watched their faces shift between fear and curiosity. Just then, Caro stepped forward again. "We can show you our technology. We will share everything we have. But you must trust us." After a moment, the murmurs began again. Some people started to nod, while others looked uncertain. The dark-coated man glared at Zora, his anger still simmering. But for the first time, she felt a flicker of hope. "Let's take a step back and breathe," Zora said, lowering her voice. "This is not the end. We can learn from this moment and move forward together." As the crowd began to disperse, Zora knew they had a long way to go. But she felt more determined than ever to show them the truth about her people. She would not let fear and doubt tear them apart. As night fell, Zara returned to her ship, her heart heavy with the day's events. She had faced the storm, but the battle for trust had just begun. The darkness was still looming, and she wondered if they could ever truly overcome it. Would the shadows of betrayal win, or could she help the light shine through? Shadows of betrayal. The days that followed the explosion were tense. Zara spent countless hours in meetings with human leaders and scientists, trying to regain their trust. But every time she spoke, the memory of that explosion haunted her. Whispers of betrayal echoed through the corridors of power, and doubts lingered in the air. Zara understood that the dark-coated man had a significant influence on the human population. His words resonated with many, feeding their fears and suspicions. "How can we trust the Lyrans?" they would ask. "What do they really want?" As she reviewed the plans for future demonstrations, Zara felt a knot of anxiety tightening in her stomach. "Caro, do you think we can turn this around?" she asked, looking up from the data pads cluttering her desk. "What if they never trust us?" Caro, sitting across from her, leaned back in his chair. "We can't give up, Zara. You've already made an impact. Some are starting to see the truth. We just need to show them more." His words gave her a sliver of hope, but deep down, she feared the worst. The dark-coated man, whose name Zara had learned was Darian, was gathering followers, igniting fear against her people. She worried that he was planning something more sinister. Days turned into weeks as the atmosphere grew heavier. Each attempt to showcase Lyran technology was met with skepticism, and the crowd size dwindled. Zara felt defeated. She spent sleepless nights trying to think of a new approach to win over the humans, but nothing seemed to work. Then, one evening, Caro burst into her quarters with a mix of excitement and concern. "Zara, you need to see this," he exclaimed, holding up a small holographic device. "What is it?" she asked, puzzled. "It's a video recording of Darian. He's planning to sabotage our next demonstration. He's rallying his followers to disrupt everything." Zara's heart raced as Caro played the recording. Darian was in a dimly lit room, speaking passionately to a group of humans. "They think they can fool us. We must stop them before they invade our homes. We need to show them that Earth is not theirs to take." His words ignited anger and fear among his listeners. "What are we going to do?" Zara asked, panic setting in. "If he succeeds, it could mean disaster for us." Caro clenched his fists. "We must act quickly. We need to expose his lies and show the people that he is a threat, not us." Zara nodded, determination flooding her veins. "You're right. We need to turn this around before it's too late. Let's gather evidence of his plans and present it during the next demonstration. We can't let him twist the truth." As they worked together to gather information, Zara felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would not let Darian tear apart the fragile trust that still remained. The next day, she contacted the leaders of the human factions, urging them to attend the demonstration. On the day of the demonstration, Zara stood on the platform, her heart racing. Caro stood beside her, ready to support her. The plaza was filled with people again, but Zara noticed that many were still skeptical. The atmosphere was charged with tension, and she could feel Darian's presence looming nearby. "Welcome, everyone," Zara began, her voice steadied despite her nerves. "Today, we will not only demonstrate our technology, but also reveal the truth about the threats we face. We must stand united against those who seek to divide us." She glanced at Caro, who gave her an encouraging nod. Zara took a deep breath and activated the holographic projector. The images flickered to life, showing footage of Darian speaking to his followers. urging them to rise against the Lyrans. Gasps filled the plaza as the truth unfolded before them. "Darien is not your friend," Zara exclaimed, her voice rising above the crowd. "He is the one trying to sow discord. He wishes to protect his own power and will stop at nothing to achieve it." The crowd began to murmur, uncertainty flickering across their faces. Zara pressed on, feeling the energy shift. "We came here to help, to share knowledge and build a better future together. But we cannot allow fear to dictate our choices." Darien, now exposed, pushed his way through the crowd, anger blazing in his eyes. "You can't trust her. They will destroy everything you know," he shouted, but the crowd began to turn away from him. Eyes now on Zara. "Open your eyes. This is about your future. We can create a partnership based on trust and cooperation," Zara urged, her voice steady. As she spoke, the energy in the plaza changed. People began to cheer for Zara, their faith in her rekindled. They realized that unity was their strength, not division. But Darien wasn't finished. He stepped forward, determined to take back control. "You're a fool to believe her lies. The Lyrans are here to invade." Caro stepped up beside Zara, his presence strong. "And you are the one lying to them. We have the chance to change this world for the better, but you want to drag us back into fear." The crowd began to chant, "Unity. Trust. Together." Their voices echoed through the plaza, drowning out Darien's desperate cries. Zara felt a swell of hope as she looked at the crowd. They were finally seeing the truth. The seeds of doubt were being uprooted, and in their place, hope was growing. But in the back of her mind, she knew the battle was far from over. Darien would not give up easily, and Zara had to be ready for whatever he would try next. As the demonstration concluded, Zara felt a flicker of triumph. They had won this round, but she remained vigilant. Shadows of betrayal still lingered in the air, and she had to ensure they did not take root again. Would her vision of a united future prevail, or would the darkness win? The gathering storm. The days following the demonstration were filled with a cautious optimism. Zara watched as human leaders began to reach out to her and Caro, eager to establish dialogue and collaboration. For the first time, she felt a sense of acceptance in their society. Yet beneath this surface, the shadow of Darien loomed larger than ever. In the weeks that followed, Zara immersed herself in plans for joint projects with the humans. They discussed technology exchanges, cultural exchanges, and how to improve life on Earth. Caro worked tirelessly, drawing up proposals and plans. Together, they hoped to mend the rift created by Darien and build a stronger alliance. However, not everyone was on board. Darien's supporters, still emboldened by his rhetoric, began to mobilize. They organized protests against Zara and the Lyrans, claiming that the aliens were a threat to their way of life. Zara knew that this was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. One evening, as Zara and Caro reviewed their plans, Zara received an urgent message from a trusted source within the human government. She glanced at Caro, her heart racing. "They're planning something," she said, her voice tense. "Darien is gathering his followers for a major rally. He's going to call for war against us." Caro clenched his fists. "We need to stop him. If we can't, everything we've built so far could be destroyed." Determined to confront this new challenge, Zara contacted the leaders of the human factions. She urged them to join her at a special meeting to discuss the growing threat. "If we do not stand together, we risk losing everything," she warned. As the meeting approached, Zara's anxiety grew. She had faced many challenges, but this felt different. The stakes were higher than ever. The day of the meeting, she stood in front of the assembled leaders, their faces a mixture of skepticism and hope. "Thank you all for coming," Zara began, her voice steady. "Today, we stand at a crossroads. Darien is rallying his followers to instigate conflict between our peoples. We must respond with strength and unity." The room erupted in murmurs. Zara saw some leaders whispering among themselves, their doubts evident. "But how can we trust the Lyrans? one asked, his voice filled with uncertainty. What if they have a hidden agenda? Zara took a deep breath, ready to address their fears. I understand your concerns, but we have already shown our commitment to peace. We seek partnership, not conflict. Darien is the true threat to our future. If we allow his voice to dominate, we will be torn apart. Caro stepped forward, his presence commanding. We need to show our strength. Let's organize a counter-rally to demonstrate our unity. We will invite everyone, human and Lyran alike, to stand together against fear and hatred. Slowly, Zara saw nods of agreement in the room. The leaders began discussing logistics, and hope filled the air. Yet, Zara couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at her. She knew that Darien would not back down easily. As the days passed, Zara and Caro worked tirelessly to organize the counter-rally. They'd reached out to every faction, urging them to join. Flyers were distributed, and word spread throughout the city. But Darien was also preparing, and Zara could feel the tension building. The day of the rally arrived, and Zara stood on the platform, her heart racing. A sea of people gathered before her, a mix of humans and Lyrans, united for a common cause. She looked out at the crowd, feeling a mix of pride and apprehension. Caro stood beside her, a determined look on his face. This is it, Zara. We have to show them what we stand for. Zara nodded, her gaze drifting to the far side of the plaza. She spotted Darien in the distance, his followers surrounding him like a storm cloud, ready to unleash their anger. A flicker of fear passed through her. He's here, she whispered. The rally began, and Zara took a deep breath, stepping forward to address the crowd. Today we stand together against division and hatred. Together, we can build a future that thrives on understanding and cooperation. Cheers erupted from the crowd, but Zara's eyes remained on Darien. He had a determined look, his followers chanting angrily behind him. She could see that he was ready to incite chaos, and she had to act quickly. Suddenly, Darien stepped forward, a microphone in hand. You are fools to believe the Lyrans. They will bring nothing but destruction. They are here to conquer us. His words echoed through the plaza, and a hush fell over the crowd. Zara felt the air grow tense. She had to counter his claims, but she also knew that the truth was sometimes harder to sell than lies. Caro, we have to confront him, Zara exclaimed, determination surging through her. Let's go, Caro replied, and they made their way to the front. As they reached the edge of the platform, Zara raised her hands, calling for silence. Darien, you spread fear and mistrust. Our people are better than this. We are stronger together, not apart. Darien sneered at her. Stronger? You mean enslaved. You don't understand what they plan to do to you. They want to erase our humanity. Zara stepped closer, her voice firm. And you want to erase our chance for peace. This is not about power or control. It's about survival. Together, we can create a better future. As the two faced off, the tension in the crowd grew thick. Some people were shifting nervously, uncertain of who to believe. Zara could feel her heart racing, but she stood her ground, focusing on the crowd, hoping to sway their hearts and minds. Suddenly, from the back of the crowd, a voice rang out. We choose unity. A human stepped forward, joining Zara. We stand with the Lyrans. More voices began to join in, and the tide slowly turned. The crowd began to chant, unity. Together. Their voices rose in a wave, drowning out Darien's accusations. But Zara knew that Darien wouldn't back down easily. The storm was gathering, and she had to be prepared. The battle for their future was just beginning, and she needed to ensure that it wouldn't be lost to shadows of betrayal. Rising tension. The counter-rally had been a success, but Zara felt a storm brewing beneath the surface. Darien's threats echoed in her mind, and she knew that the peace they had fought for was fragile. While the crowd had rallied behind their message of unity, she could sense that not everyone was convinced. The fear and mistrust planted by Darien ran deep. Over the next few days, Zara and Karo worked diligently to strengthen their alliance with the humans. They held meetings, shared ideas, and forged plans to enhance cooperation between their peoples. Yet, Zara couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She could feel the weight of Darian's influence still hanging over them. One afternoon, Zara received a message from a human leader, Sarah, who had been instrumental in the rally's success. They arranged to meet in a quiet park away from prying eyes. As Zara walked through the lush greenery, she hoped to gain insight into the human perspective on Darian's growing threat. Zara, Sarah waved, her expression a mix of concern and determination. "I'm glad you came." "Thank you for inviting me," Zara replied, taking a seat on a bench. "I wanted to discuss how we can counter Darian's influence. He's not going to give up easily." Sarah nodded, her brow furrowed. "I know. His supporters are becoming more vocal. They're spreading false information about the Lyrans, claiming we're planning an invasion." Zara clenched her fists. "That's ridiculous. All we want is peace, but it seems like no matter what we do, he finds a way to twist our actions." "Exactly," Sarah sighed. "And with each passing day, the fear grows. We need to show the people that unity is our strength, not weakness. But how do we combat these lies?" Zara thought for a moment. "We need to engage with the community. Let's host events where humans and Lyrans can interact, cultural exchanges, joint activities. The more they see us together, the more they'll understand that we're not enemies." "That's a great idea," Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up. "We can organize a festival. Music, food, games. It could showcase the best of both our cultures." As they brainstormed ideas, Zara felt a surge of hope. This could be their chance to turn the tide. They began planning the festival, reaching out to various community groups and gathering support. Zara envisioned a vibrant celebration that would highlight their unity, a stark contrast to the divisive rhetoric of Darian. But in the back of her mind, Zara couldn't ignore the simmering threat that lingered. Darian wouldn't sit idly by while they built this bridge. She knew that he would retaliate. As the festival date approached, Zara and Karo worked tirelessly, organizing logistics and gathering supplies. Excitement buzzed through the air, but so did tension. The whispers of Darian's followers grew louder, threatening to overshadow their efforts. Zara could feel the pressure mounting. On the day of the festival, the sun shone brightly as humans and Lyrans began to arrive at the park. Colorful banners flapped in the breeze, and the scent of delicious food wafted through the air. Music filled the atmosphere, creating an inviting ambience. Zara watched as families mingled, children laughed, and friendships blossomed. "This is incredible," Karo said, his eyes wide with wonder. "Look at how they're coming together." "Yes," Zara agreed, her heart swelling with pride. "This is what we envisioned, a day of unity." But as the day progressed, Zara couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She glanced around, noting groups of people standing at the edges of the festival, their expressions tense and wary. Darian's supporters were present, lurking like shadows. As Zara walked through the crowd, she caught snippets of conversation. "They're just here to take over," one person muttered. "Don't let them fool you." Zara's heart sank. Despite their best efforts, the seeds of fear were still taking root. She knew she had to address the crowd and quell the growing unease. "Ladies and gentlemen," Zara called out, stepping onto a small stage. "Thank you for coming today to celebrate our cultures. We are here to show that humanity and Lyrans can coexist in harmony." A smattering of applause echoed, but a few voices called out, "What do the Lyrans really want?" Zara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their fears. "I understand your concerns," she continued, her voice steady. "But we are not here to conquer or control. We seek friendship and understanding. Together, we can achieve greatness." A few cheers rose from the crowd, but Zara could still see skepticism in some faces. Her heart raced as she felt the eyes of Darian's supporters on her. They were ready to challenge her message. Suddenly, A commotion erupted at the edge of the festival. A group of Darian's followers had gathered, waving signs and shouting slogans. No more lies. Stand with your own kind. Zara's pulse quickened as she spotted Darian among them, his eyes glinting with malice. He stepped forward, microphone in hand, a smug smile on his face. Look at this charade. The Lyrans are here to trick you, to take away everything you hold dear. Panic rippled through the crowd. Zara felt her heart drop. This was not what they had planned. She turned to Kuro, who was tense beside her. We can't let him undermine this festival, he said urgently. I know, Zara replied, determination flooding her. We have to confront him. Together, they pushed through the crowd, reaching the stage where Darian stood. Enough, Zara shouted, her voice rising above the chaos. This is a day for unity, not division. Darian sneered. Unity. With those who seek to destroy us? You've been deceived. Zara met his gaze, her voice steady. You are the one spreading lies, Darian. We will not be swayed by your fear-mongering. The crowd shifted uneasily, torn between the two speakers. Zara took a step closer, her heart racing. We are stronger together. Look around you, humans and Lyrans, side by side. This is our future. Darian's supporters shouted back, but Zara held her ground. If we allow fear to guide us, we will lose everything. But if we stand together, we can create a world where everyone thrives. Slowly, she began to see a shift in the crowd. Some of Darian's supporters began to waver, their expressions softening. Zara pressed on, pouring her heart into her words. Let us choose hope over fear. We can build a better tomorrow, together. As the crowd erupted in applause, Zara felt a surge of energy. But she knew that this confrontation was far from over. Darian would not accept defeat easily. The battle for peace was only just beginning, and Zara would have to prepare for whatever storm was coming. The final confrontation. The festival had been a whirlwind of emotions. After the confrontation with Darian, Zara had hoped that unity would prevail. Yet, as the day ended, the tension lingered. She and Kuro stood together, watching the last of the festival-goers leave the park. The excitement of the day was replaced by a heavy silence. I can't shake the feeling that this isn't over, Kuro said, concern etched on his face. Darian won't just walk away after being challenged like that. Zara nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of impending conflict. He's dangerous. We need to prepare for what comes next. If he's rallying his supporters, we might be facing a real threat soon. As they walked home, Zara couldn't help but replay the events of the day in her mind. She had fought to inspire hope and unity, yet Darian's words still echoed, casting shadows of doubt over her dreams. She knew that to secure their future, she must confront the darkness head-on. That night, Zara gathered a small group of trusted allies from both the human and Lyran communities. They met in a secluded room at the local community center, the atmosphere tense with anticipation. Kuro stood beside her, ready to support her as she addressed their fears. Thank you all for coming, Zara began, her voice steady but firm. I know things are uncertain right now, but we must act before Darian's influence grows stronger. We need to show our unity, not just in words, but in action. Sarah, the human leader, spoke up. What do you suggest? Darian has made it clear that he wants to undermine us. We can't just sit back and wait for him to strike. Zara took a deep breath. We need to hold another event, a demonstration of our alliance. A public display of unity that will show the people we stand together. This will send a strong message to Darian and his followers. Kuro nodded, but we need to be careful. If Darian gets wind of our plans, he could try to sabotage it. I agree, Zara said. We must keep our plans secret until the last moment. We can't let him disrupt our message of unity. As they brainstormed ideas, the group began to feel a renewed sense of purpose. They discussed a location, a time, and the types of activities they could include to encourage cooperation and camaraderie. Zara felt a spark of hope ignite within her. This was their chance to prove that fear could not tear them apart. Days passed, and the atmosphere in the city grew increasingly tense. Zara and her team worked diligently to prepare for the event. They spread the word quietly, ensuring that the right people knew without alerting Darian's followers. On the day of the demonstration, the sun rose bright and clear, a perfect day for their cause. As the crowd gathered at the park, Zara's heart raced with excitement and fear. Would they stand together? Would they show that unity was stronger than division? As people began to arrive, Zara felt a surge of energy in the air. Humans and Lyrans mingled, their laughter and chatter filling the space with hope. Karo stood beside her, his expression serious but supportive. "Are you ready?" he asked, glancing at the growing crowd. "As ready as I'll ever be," Zara replied, determination shining in her eyes. "We have to show them that we won't back down." With a deep breath, Zara stepped onto the stage, her heart pounding. She scanned the crowd, noting the diverse faces of humans and Lyrans, their expressions a mix of curiosity and apprehension. She raised her hand to silence the murmurs. "Thank you all for being here today," Zara began, her voice strong. "We stand together as allies, not as enemies. We are here to show that our differences make us stronger, not weaker." A ripple of applause surged through the crowd, filling Zara with hope. She continued, "We face a threat from those who wish to divide us. But today, we choose to stand united. Together, we can create a future where fear has no place." As she spoke, Zara noticed movement at the edge of the crowd. A familiar figure pushed through the masses. Darian. His presence sent a wave of tension through the air. The applause died down, replaced by murmurs of concern. Darian climbed onto the stage, his expression smug. "So this is your grand show of unity," he sneered. "You think a few speeches and friendly gatherings will change anything. The truth is, the Lyrans cannot be trusted." The crowd shifted uneasily, uncertainty spreading like wildfire. Zara felt her heart race as she stepped forward to confront him. "We will not allow fear to control us, Darian. The people deserve to see the truth, not your lies." Darian laughed, the sound cold and mocking. "Truth. Your kind is weak. You believe that friendship can conquer all. I will show you just how naive you are." Before Zara could respond, a commotion erupted in the crowd. Darian's followers surged forward, brandishing signs and shouting slogans that echoed their disdain for the Lyrans. The atmosphere crackled with tension as the two groups faced off, and Zara's heart sank. This was not the unity she had envisioned. "Don't let them intimidate you," she shouted, her voice straining to be heard over the chaos. "We are stronger together. We must stand against this hatred." But Darian was relentless, pushing his supporters to escalate their aggression. Zara could feel the energy in the crowd shift, and panic began to set in. She knew that if she didn't act fast, the peaceful gathering could turn violent. "Everyone, listen to me," Zara called, her voice ringing with urgency. "We cannot let this escalate. We must stand our ground, but we must also show them that we choose peace." The crowd hesitated, caught in a moment of uncertainty. Zara could see the fear in their eyes, but she also saw a flicker of hope. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she continued, "Together, we can prove that love and understanding will triumph over hate." In that moment, Zara stepped down from the stage, walking toward the crowd of Darian's supporters. Karo followed closely behind her, ready to stand by her side. As she approached them, Zara's heart raced. Would they listen? Would they see that unity was stronger than division? "Please," she said, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. "We don't want conflict. We are all part of this community. Let us show that we can disagree without resorting to violence." The tension in the air thickened as Darian's followers exchanged glances. Some looked uncertain, but others remained resolute. Zara could feel the weight of the moment, the potential for change hanging in the balance. Darian sneered, stepping forward to challenge her. "You think you can sway them with empty words? They know the truth. But Zara pressed on, her voice unwavering. The truth is that we are all capable of kindness, understanding, and change. We have the power to choose a better future. Suddenly, a brave human stepped forward, breaking away from Darian's group. "I want to hear what they have to say," he said, his voice steady. "We can't keep living in fear." His words sent a ripple through the crowd. More people began to step forward, expressing their desire for peace and understanding. Zara felt her heart swell with hope as the tide began to shift. As the crowd grew more supportive, Zara turned to Darian, her expression fierce. "You cannot control us with fear any longer. We will stand together and face whatever comes next as one." The tension that had once filled the air began to dissolve, replaced by a sense of unity and strength. Darian's followers wavered, their resolve crumbling in the face of the growing support for peace. Zara turned back to the crowd, her heart racing with excitement. "Together, we are stronger than any threat that seeks to divide us. Let this be the day we choose hope over fear." As the crowd erupted in cheers, Zara felt a surge of triumph. They had chosen unity, and together they would stand against the darkness. But deep inside, she knew that the battle was far from over. Darian would not back down easily, and she would have to be ready for the challenges that lay ahead. The fight for peace had just begun.